I'll begin with some bad news, which is probably not a surprise to anybody, and that's that we continue, after years and years of pumping a lot of money and energy and research and public health initiatives, we continue to be in what appears to be a growing epidemic of sleep and dream loss. Most of us are familiar with the epidemic of sleep loss. There is also a profound epidemic of dream loss, which I think has a very negative, constricting, corrosive effect on consciousness, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But we are in the midst of a sleep loss epidemic, and many of the efforts we make, largely in terms of sleeping medications, seem to help in the short run. In the long run, there's growing evidence, as you'll see, that they backfire. So we're talking about millions of people. This data is from the U.S. Some of you familiar with the U.S.? Is that some direction from here? So the bottom line is that at least 65% of people report at least one clinical symptom of a sleep disorder at least a few nights a week or more. And this just says that even if we're not diagnosed with a sleep issue like insomnia, which affects up to 30% of people, or sleep apnea, which in the US affects probably 20 to 25 million people in addition, even if we're not diagnosed, most of us have low-grade sleep issues. How many of you wake up with an alarm clock? Don't be shy. Be proud of it. Okay, most of us do. And if you're waking up routinely with an alarm clock, it means you're never getting enough sleep because you're always snipping off the end of your sleep. And I'll point out tomorrow, too, that when you wake up with an alarm clock, you're also snipping off the end of your dreams. One of the reasons we're having such failures in addressing the sleep epidemic is we really don't get sleep. We're trying to heal something that we largely misunderstand, misconstrue, mismanage. And the reason we don't get sleep then is that we don't get sleep. And I don't mean this to be funny. We have to begin with a modicum of humility to consider that the assumption that we all know what sleep is, we've sort of been doing it, we've been talking about it forever. But let's begin with a bit of humility, a bit of considering the possibility that maybe sleep is not exactly what we think it is. So one of the problems is we define sleep negatively in our world. And what I mean by that is not in a bad way, but we define sleep in terms of what it is not. We do this with health in our world. We define health. We assume that to be healthy means to not be sick. That's a negative definition. We assume that to be asleep means that you're not awake, or you're not aware, or you're not conscious. Okay? That's a negative definition of sleep. It tells us what it's not. It doesn't tell us what it is. In technical terms, true sleep, stage sleep, deep sleep, is referred to as non-REM. Again, even from a professional technical standpoint, we define sleep as, what is it? It's not dreaming. It doesn't tell us what it is, it tells us what it's not. We also value sleep in terms of waking world functions. Virtually all sleep research turns to sleep and it asks the same question. It says, hey, sleep, what can you do for us as waking people? How can you make my waking life better? Right? We look at sleep as being secondary and subservient to waking life. And you'll see tomorrow we look at dreams the same way. We just want to juice the dream. We just want to get energy and power from the sleep without considering that maybe its functions go beyond helping us be better waking people. Sleep is also medicalized in our world today. If you look up sleep on the internet, most of what you will get are biomedical definitions. Sleep, they'll immediately start talking, not defining sleep, but start describing sleep in terms of biomedical terms, looking at sleep in terms of what goes on in the brain, in the body, in your neurotransmitters, in neural networks, and so on. Or talking about the biomedical consequences of poor sleep. Now, all of this is interesting and I think important, but it really evades the question of what sleep is. We are in the midst of what I consider a pre-Copernican era in consciousness. If you remember Copernicus, he had the courage to suggest that maybe planet Earth was not the center of the universe and nearly lost his head for that. Most of us believe, without ever questioning it, that waking consciousness, what we're doing now, what most of us are doing now, that waking consciousness is the center of the universe. It's the gold standard for consciousness, that this is it. Many people who think about life after death kind of believe that, well, they're going to die one day, then they're going to wake up, that they will bring this very consciousness into another sphere of being. But the presumption that waking is the center of the universe is what I call wake-centrism. And then we begin to look at all other states of consciousness, specifically in this case sleeping and dreaming, but all kinds of subtle intermediate states of consciousness as being secondary, as being subservient to waking consciousness. I'm going to make the point as we go along that I think this results in the primary cause of our sleeplessness. And it might sound silly, but I really believe that the essential cause of insomnia is an addiction in every sense of that word, an addiction to waking life. We are addicted to waking life. And I want to make it clear, I'm not knocking waking. I do it, I kind of like it. We all kind of enjoy it, yeah. It has its place, but it's a profoundly, I think, misleading presumption to think that this is the core of life. This is what it is. This is the essence of being alive. So we are addicted to waking life. And most people who can't sleep are trying to leverage waking. They're trying to use their waking consciousness to get them to sleep.